Hello there, good to see you again and thank you for staying with Football Planet, your show dedicated to African and world football news on Africanews, our top stories. Will Mohamed Salah participate in the World Cup? The spotlight is on the Egyptian striker following his injury in the Champions League final on Saturday, which Real Madrid won. The 2018 COSAFA Cup tournament is underway in South Africa, and for the first time, 14 teams are taking part in this tournament between national teams from Southern Africa. And then we continue our presentation on the 5 African teams at the next World Cup. Today we discuss Nigeria's Super Eagles, a country not new to the tournament. These and many more momentarily. Hello again. They almost made history, but their evening turned into a nightmare. Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane will still have to wait to lift their first Champions League. The Egyptian and Senegalese from Liverpool were beaten in the final by Real Madrid on Saturday. It was a final that saw Salah sustaining a shoulder injury. Ruth Lago and Amelia Nachitimbo have the story.
Liverpool forward and Egyptian international Mohamed Salah has commented on his team's loss in the Champions League final and his injury. Liverpool lost 3-1 to Real Madrid in Kiev on Saturday evening, with Salah having to leave in the first half after picking an injury. He collided with Real captain Ramos in a challenge that left him with a dislocated shoulder, according to reports. But in a Twitter post, Salah said despite the disappointment of what he called a tough night, he was confident of recovering in time to partake in the Pharaohs World Cup campaign in Russia. The tweet reads, "It was a very tough night, but I'm a fighter. Despite the odds, I'm confident that I'll be in Russia and make all of you proud. Your love and support will give me the strength I need." Salah's club manager Jurgen Klopp told a post-match news conference that the player's injury was a really serious one, adding that he was in hospital for an X-ray.
But all eyes are on Mohamed Salah, whose shoulder injury is worrying. At home in Egypt, the Pharaoh supporters fear the worst, despite optimism by Egyptian officials who believe Salah can make it. Guy Rodrigue Loué and Eric Otten have the details.
Egypt holds its breath following the terrible injury of Mohamed Salah on Saturday in the final of the Champions League. Uncertainty now hangs over the participation of the star of the Pharaohs at the World Cup in Russia. In Egypt's capital, Cairo, supporters of the national team are worried. The injury of Mohamed Salah saddened us all. This is the first time in my life that I went out watching a football game. This injury makes me mad. It breaks our hearts. God willing, Salah will recover quickly. I'm really tensed and worried because we still do not know what happened to him or the severity of his injury. Will he be able to participate in the World Cup with us? Or at least, will he be on the team for friendlies before the World Cup? Egyptian fans are not the only ones to wonder about the consequences of the injury of their star striker. The Egyptian Football Federation and Mohamed Salah remain rather optimistic. We will know a little more in the coming days.
We'll keep an eye on Mohamed Salah's injury in the coming days. Also remember that an African was on the Champions League list even if he did not play. His Moroccan defender of Real Madrid, Achraf Hakimi, who is also among the 23-man squad selected by Hervé Honey for the next World Cup. However, Real Madrid's new title proved the dominance of Spanish football over Europe after the success of Atletico de Madrid in the Europa League. And we're looking forward to the European Super Cup in a few months. Meanwhile, back on the continent now, and the 21st edition of the COSAFA Cup was launched in South Africa on Sunday. This year, the tournament is being held in the South African province of Limpopo. And for the first time, 14 teams are participating. Madagascar took the lead in Group A ahead of Comoros and Seychelles. Here are the first results and complete program lineup of the group matches. Also be reminded that the COSAFA Cup tournament continues until June the 9th, 5 days before the start of the World Cup in Russia. And to the World Cup now. Today, we talk Nigeria, the only nation to have reached the group stage in the previous edition. The Super Eagles are not new to the competition. They will play in Group D with Argentina as favourites. Amel Nkeinga and Afolake Oyinloye have the story.
Nigeria Super Eagles were the first African team to qualify for the World Cup in Russia in emphatic fashion, pulling off an unbeaten run against strong competition from Cameroon, Zambia and Algeria. This will be the 6th time Nigeria features at the global football showpiece, having made their debut in 1994 World Cup, where they reached the second round. The Super Eagles are the only national team on the continent to have reached the 8 finals of a World Cup 3 times. They often enter international competition as one of Africa's biggest hopes, and once again, this year is no different as they head into 2018 FIFA World Cup in Russia as one of the sides from the continent expected to have a decent run. Its failure to qualify for the last 2 African Cup of Nations after his unexpected win in 2013 left a feeling of disappointment and frustration among fans that only a qualification to the World Cup could console. At the qualifiers, winning 4 games and drawing 2, scoring 12 goals and conceding just 4, the Nigerian side, which is highly underrated by its fans at home, qualified with a game to spare. The Group D in which they are, however, far from being an easy group. The Super Eagles will face Croatia on June 16 at the Kaliningrad Stadium in their opening game, before taking on Iceland on June 22 at the Volgograd Arena, while their last group is against Argentina at the Krestovki Stadium, St. Petersburg. However, Nigeria's agile team can adjust their play to different opponents. They are as lucky as the other 2 outsiders in the group, as they know what to expect.
Nigeria can also boast of very promising young talents. The Super Eagles have the likes of Victor Moses, Chelsea striker Mikel Obi and Ahmed Musa as players to watch out for at the World Cup. Here's Amel Nkeinga and Afolake Oyinloye again.
In Chelsea is Antonio Conte's handyman and a major player in last year's Premier League title. Sometimes right back and sometimes attacking midfielder, Victor Moses retains the same importance in the national team. Transformed from a forward to a wing back at club level with Chelsea, Victor Moses proved that he has lost none of his skills in the final third of the field by being a key player for Nigeria in their 2018 World Cup qualifying campaign. The 26-year-old was part of Super Eagles squad in Brazil 2014 and will be looking forward to his second World Cup. His energy on the pitch and generosity makes him an essential player in the group. Despite a complicated season at the club, he'll be one of the players to watch out for in Russia alongside Alex Iwobi. He'll be playing with the likes of Mikel Obi, one of the examples of young rising talents.
Nigeria will play their first game on June the 16th against Croatia before taking on Iceland. But it might be without Moh Salah, who's been pre-selected for the World Championship. The Gen forward has been struggling with an injury and may not recover before the competition. We still stay in the home country of the Super Eagles on the discovery of another football team like none other. Ketsi, a church, the Mountain of Fire and Miracles Football Club in Nigeria, is poised to make history. Brice Kinhu and Ignatius Ano tell us how. A stage for youth on the streets to play football. But this is not your regular field. Nigeria's most powerful evangelical churches, the Ministry of Fire Mountain and Miracles, is offering these youngsters a chance to develop their passion for football. In its 10 years of existence, the MFM Football Club has already won the World Cup of Churches and has become one of the best teams in Africa's most populous nation.
The message I share with them is to let them know that with God, all things are possible. For them to believe in God. That as we're playing here, once they have God as their head, they'll get whatever, anything they need.
Second in the Nigerian League last year, the club qualified for the Confederation of African Football CAF Champions League 2018.
The church has really tried for the players, tried to project us to a certain level and to be good ambassadors of the church, and good ambassadors of the country, and also good ambassadors of our family. So the church is reshaping our lives.
The Fountain of Fire and Miracles is governed by strict rules. No alcohol, no drugs, no tattoos or jewelry is allowed. Also, players are encouraged to engage in aggressive prayers on the field as in the church. Unlike most First League clubs, which is plagued by corruption and mismanagement, the MFM treats its players well. Housed and fed, the Olukoya boys earn up to $2,500 a month and are paid on time, a luxury in Nigeria where lots of footballers get their salaries every 4 or 6 months. Brice Kinhu and Ignatius Anos report there, ending the program, which you can find on our website at Africanews.com. Your reactions are welcome via the addresses currently displayed on your screen. Football Planet returns same time next week. To have an excellent week and goodbye.